Hey folks, it's Stephan here with another Pathfinder adventure card game, Wrath of the Righteous. This week's scenario is the Fall of Kenabres. Kenabres will never survive this demonic onslaught. The Storm King has decapitated the dragon Terendelev, scattering her glittering scales. The city is collapsing, yet somehow you must make it through this catastrophe alive. One of the surviving heroes must remain to avenge the dragon champion. There is no villain in this scenario, but the henchmen are Ulkreths. During this scenario, shuffle the villain Khorramzadeh into the Blessings deck. When Khorramzadeh is put to the top of the Blessings discard pile, each character at a random location moves and is dealt 1d plus 4 fire damage. 1d4 plus 1 fire damage. Shuffle Khorramzadeh into the Blessings deck. After you encounter the henchman Ulkreths, close its location. To win this scenario, close all locations. A bit of a challenge there with that demon in there, and of course encounter him multiple times, so we can hope that he's sort of lower down in the Blessings deck. We don't have any idea, but we'd hope he's a little lower down so we don't encounter him right off the bat. In fact, let's just shuffle that. You're going to notice a couple of differences. I'm not wearing a headset. It occurred to me that I didn't really need it. There are sounds in Tabletop Simulator like cards shuffling and stuff, but I don't really need to hear those. And it's more of a holdover from doing Twitch streaming when I do need to hear the video game. Also introducing a dice tower here and using dice in Tabletop Simulator, so we're going to see how that goes. I know that it's going to add to my editing time, but I don't think it will add to the actual length of the videos at all. And we'll see how people like it. I just thought it would be interesting to be able to do everything inside Tabletop Simulator instead of having to constantly look over at the iPad. First, we're in a new adventure, the Worldwound Incursion. The servitor demon is the henchman Sloth Demon, so we have him over here. And he is a combat 9. He's immune to electricity and poison. Before you act, each character at your location must succeed at a Constitution or Fortitude 6 check, or discard 1 card. Locations. The Cathedral of St. Clydewell. At this location, when you acquire a blessing, examine the top card of any location deck. If it is a non-henchman, non-villain monster, you may banish it. And there are 4 blessings in here, so 4 possible chances to do that. To close, it's a Wisdom or Divine 7. Now, both Seelah and Imrijka have Divine, but it's a d8 plus 1 for both of them. The Citadel. At this location, at the end of your turn, you may search your deck for an ally or cohort and add it to your hand. When closing, succeed at a combat check with a difficulty of 9 plus twice the scenario's adventure deck number, so it'll be a difficulty of 11. The Occult Library. When you play a card that has the book trait, banish it. When closing, succeed at Intelligence 8 or Knowledge 6. So that's a good place for Enora, but she actually does have books, so that's something to keep in mind. The Collapsing Bridge. At the end of your turn, roll 1d10. If you roll higher than the number of cards in this deck, banish all the boons in this deck, and there are 5 allies for the boons here. When closing, you are dealt 4 combat damage, so it's a pretty hefty closing cost. And Defender's Heart. When you attempt a check to defeat a Bane, you may recharge any number of allies. For each ally recharged, add 1d4. And then to close, it's summon and acquire a random ally. So I think Enora is going to start at the Occult Library because she's the one best suited to closing that. I'll send Imrijka to the Cathedral of St. Clydewell, and I think we'll put Seelah over here at Defender's Heart. It's Enora's exploration first, and she finds a Potion of Striding. Intelligence Craft 4, she does have a knowledge, a craft, so that would be a d12 plus 1 for her. We'll put a d12 into the dice tower. And it comes out as a 4, which is enough. That would be a 5 for us. So we do acquire the Potion of Striding. At the start or end of your turn, banish this card and choose a character at your location. That character may move. Any movement restrictions still apply. We're going to spend a blessing to explore again. And it is Glibness, which is a spell. So we can use our knowledge skill for that, a d12 plus 3. And we need what? 6. That is either a 10 or a 7 plus 3, and that is enough. Display this card next to a character. While displayed, add 3 to that character's charisma check. Now, that still leaves us with too many cards in our hand. We could use the Blessing of Baphomet to explore again, but Enora only has 4 blessings, so that would be 2 blessings spent in 1 turn. I don't think that's probably great. We'll use Chuffy, though. Discard this card to explore your location. If you are the only character at your location, add 1d6 plus the scenario's adventure deck number to your combat checks. So that would be a 1d6 plus 1 if we encounter any monsters. Which I doubt we will, because I think there's only 1 or 2 in this deck. Yeah. Frigid Blast. It's another spell, so another d12 plus 3 to acquire. In fact, we cannot fail that. What did we get? We got an 11. Okay, Frigid Blast. That's a good spell, though. Alright, so we're going to get rid of a Potion of Striding, because that doesn't seem that useful anyway. Sending play over to Imrijka. And she encounters Carbuncle. Check to acquire none. When you encounter this card, you automatically acquire it. Shuffle it into a random character's deck. Recharge this card to explore your location. We're going to roll a d6 to see who ends up with it. And it is going to be Seelah. That was a 5. I don't know if you can see that or not. So Seelah has just picked up an additional ally, actually, which is going to be potentially useful. And Imrijka will spend a blessing. And she encounters Cure, Wisdom Divine 6. So she could potentially get that. She has a d8 plus 1. And she gets what looks like a 5. Plus 1 is 6, so we do acquire Cure. That puts her at 5 cards again, so that's fine. We're just going to end her turn there and pass play to Seelah, who is at Defender's Heart. When you attempt to check to defeat a Bane, you may recharge any number of allies. For each ally recharged, add 1d4. Well, she doesn't have any allies in hand at the moment, so it doesn't really matter. Worm Demon's a combat 10. He's an outsider undead demon, and he is immune to electricity and poison. Well, I think the Battle Aspergillum is going to be quite useful here. For your combat check, reveal this card, use your strength and melee plus 1d8. You can additionally discard it to add another 1d4. If the check is against a Bane that has the outsider or undead trait, you may additionally recharge this card. Recharge a card that has the divine trait to add another 1d8. So we're going to recharge the Blessing of Abraxas to do that. So we're going to be rolling 3d8 plus 3 to get a 10. 3d8 plus 3 to get a 10. And it looks like some 1s there. A 1, a 2, and a 3. Which gives us a total of 6. Plus 3 is only 9. Well, that's not very good, so that means we actually lost. And we're going to take 1 point of damage, which we'll take on the mace. And he's going to go back into the deck. Not a very good play there. We're going to reset her hand up to 4 cards and send play back to Enora. Oh, and Demonic Horde. Check to defeat none. Each character randomly chooses a character to summon and encounter this adventure's servitor demon. To defeat this barrier, all of the summoned demons must be defeated. Alright, so this is the other bad one. We had Arboreal Blight in the last episode. Now we have Demonic Horde, and we've got the Sloth Demon here. He's an outsider, combat 9. He's immune to electricity and poison. Before you act, each character at your location must succeed at a Constitution or Fortitude 6 check or discard a card. Well, first we have to see who's going to encounter it. So we're just going to roll a d6 here for Enora to determine who's going to encounter hers, and it's going to go to Imrijka. This was Enora's role, and Imrijka now has to fight the Sloth Demon. So she needs to make a Constitution or Fortitude 6. She only has a d6 for a Constitution, so let's hope that she gets a good roll. And she does. She gets a 6. Okay. So she doesn't have to discard a card. She is going to use the Glaive plus 1. For your combat check, reveal this card to use your strength or melee skill plus 1d10 plus 1. And she's also going to use the Sage's Journal. 2d10 plus a d4 plus a 1. And so we have a 1, a 2, and a 7. So that's 9, that's 10, plus 1 is 11, which is enough to defeat the Sloth Demon. So that's 1 fight down. Now we roll a d6 to see who Imrijka is going to summon the demon for. And she summons it for herself again. Actually, it wasn't a very good roll. Let's see if we can actually get it to roll somewhere. 4. Okay. So it's still her. So she's going to encounter this guy again, which means she needs to roll another d6 to see if she has to discard a card. And that was a 1, so this time she does have to discard a card. She is going to discard Cure, which she just picked up. And now we're going to do the same thing. Glaive plus 1 plus the Sage's Journal, so 2d10 plus a d4 plus a 1. And that's a 1, and that's 4, and that's 12, plus 1 is 13. So we do defeat him. And once more, we roll a d6, and now see who Seelah is sending him to. And we get a 2, so this time Enora has to take on the Servitor Demon. She has a constitution of only D4, which is not good. That means she's automatically going to discard something. We'll discard Glibness, which she's picked up already, because we're going to be able to recharge a spell here anyway by playing a spell. He is immune to electricity and poison, but we will use a Force Missile. For your combat check, discard this card to use your arcane skill plus 2d4, so that will be a d12 plus 2d4 plus 1. I don't know how well the d4s end up rolling in this. In fact, now we can't even see them really. That's a 3. This one's definitely a 3. And that one's a 1. So that's 11 total, which means we do defeat him. That means that we defeated all of them, and Demonic Horde is banished. Do a d12 plus 1 to see if we can recharge Force Missile. We're just going to roll that out here on the table instead of in there. And we get a 12, so we do recharge Force Missile. Please let me know what you think of the Dice Tower and the rolling inside Tabletop Simulator in general. If you don't like it, I'll go back to the iPad. If you're okay with it, you know, and we'll see how it goes for the rest of the game. So she'll just reset her hand up to 6 cards and pass play to Imrijka, who will explore and finds another blessing, or finds a blessing. Check to acquire Charisma 6 or Divine 5, so that would be a D8 plus 1 for her to get a Divine 5. And that looks like it's a 1. Unless it's a 7, it's a 1. So we don't acquire that. We'll discard the Caravan Guard to explore again. And it's a Blessing of Shacks. Combat 9 or Divine 5. So same thing, it's a D8 plus 1 to get a 5. And is that another 1? It looks like it is, yes, it's not the 7. We'll reset. Send play to Seelah. And Atlas? I'm not sure. Dexterity range 5. She only has a D4 for dexterity, so she's not going to be getting that one. She might as well use the retainer to explore again. And it is a Rift Warden. Intelligence, Knowledge 7, or Diplomacy 10. Well, she does have a Diplomacy of D10 plus 1. She has a Blessing of her own. That could make that 2d10 plus 1. So let's do that, 2d10 plus 1. Because if we can acquire extra allies, that actually is going to help. We don't want to go through that many blessings in the blessings deck because of the big demon being in there. And that is a 1 and a 4. So we do not get the Rift Warden. She's going to reset over to Enora. She explores again and finds a mace. Strength melee 4. Well, she has a D6 for that. And she only gets a 3, so she does not acquire the mace. She has 3 blessings on the table, so she could use one to explore. And we find the Wolverine. Wisdom Survival 8. Well, she only has a D6 for that, so unless she wanted to spend another blessing, so we're just going to let him go. So I guess she'll just pass play over to Imrijka. And Imrijka explores and finds another blessing. Blessing of Ascension. Divine 5. Well, D8 plus 1. So we're just going to pop that in here. It's a 4 to get a 5, so we did acquire that actually. And now we can look at any location deck. If it's a non-henchman, non-villain monster, you may banish it. So good odds that there would be a monster here in the occult library, but also quite good odds that there's one in Demon Heart. Well, actually, one of these has to be the henchman. Let's go with the occult library. Okay, it's a Mongol Ranger, so we are going to banish that. We don't need to fight it if we don't have to. So that was a good play by Imrijka, and she will spend that blessing that she just acquired to explore again, and now she finds a monster. Giant Maggot Swarm, Combat 6. Before you act, each character at your location summons and encounters a Giant Maggot Swarm. Before you act, the Giant Maggot Swarm deals 1 acid damage to you. If you do not defeat the Giant Maggot Swarm by at least 4, shuffle it in the deck it came from. Okay, so this one I've seen before, and it's a bit confusing, because it says, before you act, each character at your location summons and encounters a Giant Maggot Swarm. Which I kind of read to mean that I have to fight it twice. And that before you act, it deals 1 acid damage to you. So he's automatically going to do a damage to us. Which, I guess we'll take on the Silver Raven figurine. He's a Combat 6. So our hand crossbow actually would be a less good roll right now than the Glaive plus 1. So we're going to go with the Glaive plus 1, which is 2d10 plus 1. And we get 18. So I guess we got that one, okay. And that means we have to lose another card. I guess we'll lose the book. We'll do the same thing, 2d10 plus 1. And this time we get a 6 and a 3, which is a total of 10, which is still 4 more than that, so it is defeated. And now, being Imrijka, she can take a chance to explore again. So we're going to roll a d6, see if we get to explore again on a 4, 5, or 6, and we get a 5, so we do get to explore again. And it is another caravan guard, which we've already got one in our, well, we have one in our deck, but wouldn't hurt to get another one, except the check to acquire is Bury an Armor or Charisma Diplomacy 8. Charisma only d6 here, and we have no armor in hand. We could spend that blessing to get another d6, so that would be 2d6. Let's see how this goes. 2d6 to get a 6. Oh, we get an 8, sorry. And we only get 5. So that was kind of a waste of a blessing. And send play to Seelah, and she'll explore. And she finds padded armor, Constitution Fortitude 2. That's a d8 plus 1 for her, so she cannot fail that check. She's going to use a blessing to explore again. Blackwing Librarian, Intelligence Knowledge 6 or Diplomacy 8. So a d10 plus 1 for her diplomacy check on this. And that looks like only a 4. So that would be a 5 and is definitely not an 8. So he goes away. She could use the Blessing of Abadar to explore again. I guess it probably is wise to do so. She's probably going to have a fight here soon. Alright, here we go. Demonic Fly. Combat 13. He's a vermin demon. The demonic fly is immune to acid, electricity, and poison. If defeated, each character at location is dealt 1 acid damage. If undefeated, bury a random card from your discard pile and shuffle this card into a random other open location. Combat 13, he's pretty tough, actually. And we have the Battle Aspergillum, which is strength or melee plus 1d8. He doesn't have either the outsider or undead trait, so we can't use that effect. We don't have a divine card anyway. So 2d8 plus 3 right now. Enora is going to give us a blessing to make that 3d8 plus 3 to get a 13. And that's a 1, and it's 4, 10 plus 3 is 13. We made that, only just. If defeated, each character location is dealt 1 acid damage. Well, we'll just take that on the padded armor that we just picked up. And he goes away. Now we'll pass play back to Enora. Shouldn't be too much left here. Oh, another demonic fly. Immune to acid, electricity, and poison, but not immune to frigid blast. So we're going to use frigid blast. And that is going to be a d12 plus 2d4 plus 1 to get a 13. Probably should use a blessing on that as well. I'm going to use the Blessing of Baphomet. This is our first exploration, so it's actually going to give me 2 extra d12. So 3d12, 2d4 plus 1 to get, yeah, those d4s don't go very well through here, do they? Well, that's 13, that's plenty. Anyway, that's him defeated, and he is going to do a damage to us, so we'll take it on Creep Hit. Now let's see, do we have a spell in here? So we don't have a spell in there. We will get a chance to recharge this one, though, so a d12 plus 1 to get a 6. And we get a 5, so that is a 6. So we do recharge Frigid Blast. She does not have a way to explore again, so she's going to reset. Getting a little bit low on cards, though. Only 2 cards left there, so one of these is the henchman, over to Imrijka. Alright, and she encounters Ulkreths first. Outsider Demon. Check to defeat Combat 16, or Acrobatics 12. Ulkreth may not be evaded. It is immune to the electricity and poison traits. If the check to defeat has the acid, cold, or fire trait, succeeded at a knowledge 8 check to add 5 to it. If you fail the check to defeat, when you would be dealt damage, each character at location is instead dealt combat damage equal to the scenario's adventure deck number plus the number of cards in your location deck. That's pretty bad. So he's a 16, and unfortunately we've only got the glaive plus 1, and there are no blessings on the table. Right, so it's going to be just 2d10 plus 1. And a 10 and a 7. Oh man, we do get it. We get 18 total. 18 total to beat Ulkreths. And there's nothing else going on about him. And then the adventure itself says, this says after you encounter the henchman, Ulkreth close its location. So we've encountered him and defeated him. And now we'll close the location. It just says close the location, so it doesn't seem to say that I have to make a check to close the location. So we're just going to close it. On closing, shuffle 1d4 plus 1 cards from your discard pile into your deck. Wow, isn't that nice? So we need a run d4 here. We're going to do it on the table since I don't think the d4s work very well in the dice tower. And we only get a 1 anyway. We get 2 cards out of here. That's better than nothing. And now this is closed. That is the end of Imrijka's turn. She resets her hand. Over to Seelah. And it's the Worm Demon again. Let's hope that she beats it this time. He's a combat 10. We don't have any allies in hand, so we can't do that, but we can use the effect on the battle aspergillum. So it's going to be a total of 3d8 plus 3 to get a 10. We could do this ability of hers that you may discard the top card of your deck to add 1d6 to a check by a character at your location. I don't really like discarding cards off here, especially since we know we're facing still quite a bit of stuff. We've already got pretty substantial discard piles. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to roll the 3d8. And we get an 8 and a 2 and an 8, so we do defeat that guy. So he's going to go away. The first time we lost, we should have buried that retainer, I guess. She's going to reset up to 4 cards. Over to Enora. Pretty good odds of this being an Ulkreth out, but it is not. Potion of Beast Skin, Intelligence Craft 4, so that's a d12 plus 1 for her. And we get a 9, so that's a 10, which we to acquire the Potion of Beast Skin. Display this card and choose a character at location. While displayed, reduce combat damage dealt to that character by 2. At the end of the turn, banish this card. We've got the Demon Hunter. Discard this card to explore your location. During this exploration, add 1d6 to your checks against Banes with a demon trait. Now, Ulkreth is a demon, so actually that's a good move, because we know this has to be Ulkreth. Discard that to do an exploration, and hey, it's a demon. And he may not be evaded. If the check to defeat has a Acid, Cold, or Fire trait, succeed at Knowledge 8 to add 5 to it, which we could certainly do. We have both Frigid Blast and Fiery Glare. We're going to use Frigid Blast because it's less expensive to recharge. So now we have to roll a Knowledge 8, which for us is a d12 plus 3. Knowledge 8. We need a 5 or better on the die. And we get a 7. So we're going to be adding 5 to the check, which is awesome. So he's a 16. We're going to be rolling a d12 plus 2d4 plus a d6 from our Demon Hunter, and then adding 6 to it. So that's pretty solid. If they just slide through. Alright, we get a 5, a 4, and that's a total of 10 there. Oh, and I forgot the d6 actually. Drop the d6 in there. That's 12 plus 6 is 18. So we do defeat Ulkreth, although not by quite as much of a margin as I thought we might. But the important thing is he is defeated. So now we can close this location. On closing, choose either an arcane or divine trait and draw a random spell that has that trait from the box. Let's first actually recharge this. So it's our d12 plus 1 to recharge our arcane blast. And we get a 4, but we needed a 6, so we did not recharge that. Were there any spells in here? Yeah, we would get this one back because we played a spell. And we're going to choose the arcane trait, obviously. And then we're going to draw a random spell that has that trait. Okay, so let's get the spell deck here. And the first one is Sanctuary, which does not have arcane. Second one is Brilliance, which does have arcane. Don't really care so much about Brilliance. And now this is closed. So that's 2 locations closed. That leaves her at 6 cards, so she's just going to pass play to Imrijka, who needs to move. Now we've got 2 locations that are untouched. Collapsing Bridge and the Citadel. She'll go to the Citadel. Finding a Mongrel Archer. Charisma Diplomacy C below. The difficulty of the check to acquire a Mongrel Archer is equal to the highest difficulty to acquire a random weapon from the box. Recharge this card to add 1d6 to your ranged combat check. Oh, well, it sounds like it would probably be cool for her, but we've got to do a random weapon from the box. So we'll shuffle this, and it is a Sickle, which is a Strength Melee 5. But this is a Charisma Diplomacy 5, right? Charisma Diplomacy 5. So for us, that's just a d6. We do have a Blessing, and he sounds like he'd actually be pretty good to have. So we'll spend a Blessing. making that now 2d6 to get a 5. And there's a 3 and a 4, so that's 7. So we do get the Mongol Ranger. I think that's going to be a nice addition for Imrijka. Recharge this card to add 1d6 to your ranged combat check. If you fail the check, the damage you are dealt is increased by 1d6. Oh, well that's not a super effect, is it? Anyway, we've acquired him now. And we're just going to use him to explore again. And it's a Worm Demon. Combat 10. Immune to electricity and poison. We're just going to glaive +1, so it's going to be 2d10 plus 1. And we get a 7 plus 1 is 8. Ugh, that's not good. If undefeated, bury an ally from your hand or your discard pile. Well, we don't have one in our hand, but first we've got to take 2 damage here. And we are going to bury this guy. And that's going to be it for Imrijka's turn. That was not a great turn. And she's in pretty bad shape here. She's got enough to reset. Play over to Seelah, who's getting down there now in the Defender's Heart. So she should encounter another monster, I would think. Giant Fly. Combat 9. If undefeated, bury a random card from your discard pile. After you act, shuffle this card into a random other open location. I think we'll use the Long Spear for your combat check. Reveal this card to use your Strength and Melee skill plus 1d8. If you fail this check, you may discard this card to reroll the dice. So that would be 2d8 plus 3 to get a 9. But we're also going to use this ally. When you attempt a check to defeat a Bane, you may recharge any number of allies for each ally recharged at 1d4. We'll recharge the Carbuncle. So now it'll be 2d8 and a d4 plus 3. And that's a 1, 6, it has to be a 6, and another 1 plus 3. So this is 8 plus 3. 8 plus 3 is enough to defeat him, but after you act, shuffle this card into another random other location. So we've got 2 other open locations. We'll roll a d6 to see where he's going to go. And he's going to go to this location. She does not have a way to explore again, so she's going to reset. So play went to Enora, who now needs to move to another location. But I'm going to send Enora over here with Seelah. It's Giant Cockroach, so we're both going to have to fight it. Before you act, another character at your location summons and encounters a Giant Cockroach. If the check to defeat has the bludgeoning trait, add 1d8. Well, we certainly are going to have that. So Seelah is going to encounter this. She's going to use the Battle Aspergillum, which is a Strength and Melee plus 1d8. We're going to get another 1d8 because it's a bludgeoning. So we're going to be rolling 3d8 plus 3. And that's an 8 right there, so we've got that. Okay, now it's Enora's check. It has some combat 8. He's not immune to anything, so we're going to use Dazzle. It's d12 plus 2d4. Yeah, I'm pretty sure those d4s just slide. And they are difficult to see. This one's a 4, though. That one's on 4, and this one is on 1, and that's a 10, so we defeated him by plenty. So we're going to be able to recharge this. I don't think we have any other spells in here, but I'll just check quickly. So we recharge this, and then we get to see if we can recharge Dazzle, which is going to be a d12 plus 1, and we need a 6 for that. And we get a 1, so we do not recharge Dazzle. Now there's only 2 cards here, so one of them definitely is the henchman. Reset her hand. Pass play to Imrijka. We're halfway through the Blessings deck. Magic Shield, Constitution Fortitude 6. She just has the d6 for that. Oh, for a second there it looked like it was going to be a 6, but it's a 4. She could explore the Blessing, although she's really quite low on cards. I'm not sure I want to do that. Pass play back over to Seelah. Boy, the villains, the henchmen have been at the bottom of everything, haven't they? Almost at the bottom. Dexterity, Acrobatics 7, or Charisma Diplomacy 6. Well, it's a d10 plus 1 for her to get that. 10 plus 1 to get a 6. And we get a 5, so we do acquire him. And we're going to use him immediately to explore again. And it has to be Ulkreths, a very low flying plane. Check to defeat. Combat 16. We are not going to have the Acid, Cold, or Fire trait. So we're not going to be able to add anything additional. However, he is a demon and an outsider. So we can use the Battle Aspergillum, which means our starting is a 3d8 plus 3. And we're going to spend a blessing to make that 4d8 plus 3. Need some decent rolls here. Oh, hey. put this one in again. I don't know what happened there. It got stuck, I guess. 6, a 6, a 5, and a 2. So 12, 17, 19, plus 3 is 22, which is enough to defeat Ulkreths. Okay, so it's another Ulkreths defeated, and this location closes. For the rest of the scenario, add 1 to your checks to acquire allies by characters at any location. And that is the end of Seelah's turn, so she's going to reset and gets Cure, that's pretty good timing. Let's see who needs it the most. It's usually Enora, but I think this time it's going to be Imrijka, actually. Passing play to Enora. Blessing of Deskari. This is new in this adventure. Discard this card to add 1 die to your check. Discard this card to explore your location. If the top card of the Blessings discard pile has a corrupted trait, discard this card to add 2 dice plus the scenario's adventure deck number to your check. Alright, but we're over to Enora, and she needs to go somewhere. So she's either going to go to the Citadel or Collapsing Bridge. No, I guess we'll send Enora here. And it's a monster. Cave Lizard. Combat 11. If defeated during your exploration, you may explore again. Nice. So he's a Combat 11. He is not immune to anything. At the end of your turn, roll 1d10. Yeah, so we have to remember to do that. But that doesn't have anything to do with this right now. And we only have Fiery Glare. So it's a d12 plus 2d4 plus 1 to get an 11. And we get a 3, a 4, and another 4. 7, 11 plus 1 is 12, which is enough to defeat the Cave Lizard. And we'll be able to explore again. First, we're going to pull a spell out. We'll get Dazzle back for doing that, and then we're going to try to recharge this. So it is a d12 plus 1 to get a 10. A bit more difficult to recharge than the others. And it doesn't do any extra damage. You know, it would be nice if it had some extra damage for that. Okay, so we get a 5, which is a 6, which means we did not get it. Fiery Glare is going to go back here, but then we have this little trick that we can do with Brilliance. Display this card next to your character. Well displayed, add 3 to that character's intelligence checks. So we're going to do that, which is a spell, which automatically means this one gets recharged. And then to attempt to recharge this, we need an arcane 8. So now we're going to be rolling a d12 plus 4 to get an 8. And that is a 3, I would say. So that would be only a 7. So we didn't get this. That's alright. We'll reset her hand. Gets the Demon Hunter's Handbook and Viper Strike. And now we have to roll the 1d10. If you roll higher than the number of cards in the deck, banish all the boons. I think there's still 10 cards there, right? 9 cards. Alright, so if we roll a 10, which we did not, we rolled a 4. So nothing happens. And now play goes over to Seelah. And she is going to move over here with Imrijka. She's going to use Cure. Reveal this card and choose a character at location. Shuffle 1d4 plus 1 random cards from the discard pile into their deck. So we've got a d4 here, we'll just roll it on the table. And it's a 4. We got a 4. 5 cards back for Imrijka, so that's really good. And she will check if she can recharge that as a Divine 8. So it's a d8 plus 1 to recharge. And it's a 4, so that's only a 5, so we did not recharge Cure, but at least we got to use it once. And that doesn't count as her exploration, so she's still here and able to explore, so she'll do that. And she encounters Scale Mail. Constitution Fortitude 4. That is a d8 plus 1 for her. We need a 3 or better. And we get an 8. Or I wish we'd gotten that 8 on the recharge. That's fine. She doesn't have a way to explore again, though. So that is the end of her turn. And we're over to Enora again. Wait, did I skip Imrijka? Yes, I did. Oh well. Because now she's been healed. And it is a Sin Seeker. Check to defeat none. The Sin Seeker may not be evaded. Display this barrier next to your character card. While displayed, treat characters at your location as if they do not have stealth or diplomacy. Allies cannot be acquired. At the start of your turn, succeed at a combat check equal to 9 plus twice the scenario's adventure deck number to banish the Sin Seeker. Alright, so I'm stuck with him for a turn, no matter what. I don't get a chance to get rid of him until next turn. Well, that's annoying. She doesn't have a way to explore again anyway, right? No. So that was her exploration, and now she needs to roll a 1d10 again. And now there are 8 cards. And we rolled... Oh no, we rolled a 9. Actually, that's not bad, is it? Because we can't acquire them anyway now. So now it says banish all the boons in this deck, which they're all allies. So there's 1, 2, 3. There's our friend Ulkreths. 4. Well, at least we know what's in the deck now. Spiked Pit Trap is never a good thing. Alright, so now there's only 3 cards and they're all bad. But we have a good possibility of getting Ulkreths there. So I'm going to pass play over to Imrijka. We'll not forget her this time. Oh, and there he is. I knew he was going to show up sometime. Khorramzadeh. And yeah, we're not going to even look at the checks on him because that's not what happens here. Shuffle the villain into the deck. When you encounter him, each character at a random location moves and is dealt 1d4. Alright, so first we need to find out what the random location is. We're going to roll a d10. We can get lucky here, and maybe it'll be nobody. So 2 for each location here. And we get a 0, and actually nobody is at that location, so we are not going to take any damage. Very nice, but of course now the Blessings deck is quite low, so we're going to continue to encounter this guy. We shuffle him back into the Blessings deck, and we're quite low here with only 9 Blessings left in the deck, and 2 locations still open. Yeah, we don't have to do another Blessing, right? Let's kind of get a Blessing for free there, potentially get multiple Blessings for free. It's Imrijka. Yeah, so let's not skip Imrijka again. Animal Tamer. Wisdom, Survival, Charisma, Diplomacy, 9. And remember that we have this effect going for a +1 for all of our checks to acquire allies. What do we have here? Well, we could use our Wisdom, which is a d8, and then we're going to get the 1. So if we were to roll an 8, we could acquire that. I don't think it's worth spending a Blessing on. Oh, and I forgot there was a die in there already. Well, we only got a 2 on this one. Now she can explore again using her Blessing, and we really need to because we're going to move this along here. And it's Ulkreths. Couldn't be a better result. Okay, combat 16. We have this new composite bow. Dexterity range. For your combat check, reveal this card to use your dexterity range skill plus your strength die. And so, you know, for us that's a d10. It's 2d10 plus 1. Maybe not the best. If we use the hand crossbow, we can use our dexterity range skill plus 1d6, and then we can recharge another one that has that to get a 1d8. So that's going to be a d10, a d8, a d6 plus 1. And I wish someone had a Blessing. That looks like a 1 on that red die. Oh, it's a 7. It's not going to help though. That's 10, 12... plus 1 is only 13. If you fail the check to defeat, when you would be dealt damage, each character at your location is instead dealt combat damage equal to the scenario's adventure deck number plus the number of cards in the location deck. Ooh, which is going to be worse, because this is that's 7 damage. He will get shuffled back into the deck. Well, we can use Scale Mail, recharge this to reduce combat damage, banish this card to reduce all damage dealt to you by 0 if proficient with heavy armors, bury it instead. Okay, so Seelah is fine, but Imrijka's going to lose everything. And that's a good thing she was healed recently. So we're going to reset Imrijka. She still has some weapons, so that's good. Play is going to go to Seelah, who is also at this location. But now we've just lost Ulkreths. And we find a Raconteur. Charisma Diplomacy 5, so that's a d10 plus effectively 2 for her. And that is a 9, so we do acquire the Raconteur. And he would help us with our Diplomacy or Knowledge check, but we can also use him to explore, and that's what we're going to do. And it's our friend the Worm Demon, the ever-present Worm Demon. Okay, well, Seelah has the Battle Aspergillum, so it's going to be 3d8 plus 3. To get a 10. And is that another really? It's a 1. Well, that's 8 plus 3 is enough anyway. 8 plus 3, it's enough to get rid of the old Worm Demon. And that was Seelah, so she doesn't have any special ability that lets her explore again, and she has nothing in her hand which would let her explore again. So she will reset. Play goes to Enora. And there's our friend the demon again. So now we need to roll a d10 and see which location is going to move. And we get a 10 again. So nobody there. Of course, it's going to be more and more frequent checks here. Although I suppose since he always goes back into the Blessings deck, you would just keep encountering him over and over. You'd never actually run out of Blessings, right? It's Enora's turn. She's here at the Collapsing Bridge. She has pretty good odds of finding... Oh, first we have to deal with this thing. Sin Seeker. At the start of your turn, succeed at a combat check equal to 9 plus twice the scenario's adventure deck number. So that would be a combat check of 11. We're going to use a Viper Strength, a D12 and 2D4. There's a 7 and a 1 and a 4, so that is 12 right there, plus 1. So we do get it. Which means we get a spell back from our deck because we just used a spell. So that's going to go here, that's going to get recharged. We're going to get rid of the Sin Seeker. And then we're going to see if we can do a D12 plus 1 to get a 6. To recharge Viper Strength. And we get a 1. And it's the Spiked Pit Trap. Wisdom, Perception 7, or Dexterity, Acrobatics 8. Gonna be tough for her to make that. Alright, Enora is going to give her a blessing, because we don't really want to have this happen to us. Difficulty of the check is increased by the snare's bench deck number, so it's actually going to go by 1. So it's going to be an 8. We're going to be rolling 2d6 to get an 8. Oh, come on. You're not even rolling. Well, okay, well that's fine. We got a 10. I mean, that's that's what we needed. So we defeat this. If defeated, you may explore again. Yay! Which is really good because now it's either a monster or Ulkreth. And of course it's Giant Maggot Swarm, which is annoying. Before you act, each character at your location summons and encounters Giant Maggot Swarm. So that's us. Before you act, he deals 1 acid damage to you. We'll just take this as the damage, I guess. Problem is, we only have 1 spell. Well, we can take the chance of rolling just a d6 to get a 6. Just a straight strength melee check. I guess we have no other option, because we'll use the spell on the second check, but we're going to need to do this on one of the checks. So we really need a 6. And we get a 3, which is definitely not a 6. So that means we're going to take 3 points of damage from this little bugger. And this is the summoned one. Let's see, can we use this effect in response to that? I think we probably can. Bury this card to shuffle 1d4 cards from your discard pile of a character at location into their deck. So we need to roll a d4. And we only get a 1, of course. Okay, we'll take that. That's the only one we get back, and that was shuffle. Oh, but that didn't really help, did it? Because now our 3 points of damage have to include getting rid of the spell. Well, we lose these. This hasn't gone well. A Giant Maggot Swarm should not be as difficult as it seems to be. Maybe I'm playing it wrong. Maybe she shouldn't have to encounter it a second time. I don't really know. Alright, so that was the damage. Now he would do another damage to us, but we don't have anything to damage him with. And now we have to do the actual fight. And we can't beat it by at least 4, so it's going to just shuffle back into the deck where it came from. Where that's quite annoying. And we get a 3, so we didn't defeat it, which it would deal us more damage, but we don't have any cards to lose, so he gets shuffled back into this. And we may likely encounter him again. We should be flush with spells. And that's the end of her turn. So over to Imrijka, who is still here at the Citadel. She'll explore. And she gets a Corrosive Dagger. Dexterity range 7. D10 plus 1 for her. And she gets a 3, so that's 4, which means she did not get it. And I think I just zoomed the table. She doesn't get this. She does not have a way to explore again. Play goes to Seelah. And she's here at the Citadel. Okay, and she gets Ulkreths. Very good. He may not be evaded. We're not going to have the Acid, Cold, or Fire trait, so he can't get that extra 5. So he's at Combat 16. We do have the Battle Aspergillum, though, which would be a total of 3d8 plus 3 to get a 16. And no one has a blessing. We're going to use the Silver Raven figurine to send the Sage's Journal to Seelah during this fight. That gives her now 3d8 plus a d4 plus 3. We need some big rolls. We didn't get them though, did we? Let's see, that's a 2. That's a 2. So that's 4, 5 plus 8 is 13 plus 3 is 16. So we did defeat him. So Ulkreth is defeated, and that means this location is closed. And closing end your turn. Okay, so that's the end of our turn, but it generally would be anyway. So she actually has too many cards in her hand now. She'll dump the helm. And all we have to do is close that other location that Enora is at, and we win this scenario. So right now, though, we've got to send play over to Enora. And it's a blessing of Deskari, not the big demon. So she's here at Collapsing Bridge. We're going to explore again. And we get Ulkreth this time, which is exactly what we want. we can either have the cold or fire trait, so we just need to make a knowledge 8 check. So knowledge 8 is for us is a d12 plus 3. D12 plus 3. And we get a 5 plus 3 is 8. So we do get that extra 5 points of damage, so now we are going to use our Frigid Blast. This is going to be a d12 plus 2d4 plus 6. Because we have a plus 1 anyway, and we just got a plus 5. We need at least a 10. And there's the 10 right there, so that is enough, and we defeat Ulkreths, and that closes this location. Before closing, add the boons from this location deck to your hand, but there aren't any. And that is the end of the Fall of Kenabres. Each character gains a skill feat, and loot is one scale of your choice. Now, these scales, I assume, have something to do with the dragon that they're talking about on the other side of this. There's a scale of disguise. Recharge this card to add 1 to your non-combat check or 2 to your non-combat charisma, diplomacy, or stealth check. There's a scale of cloud walking. At the end of your turn, recharge this card to move. A scale of sacred weaponry. Recharge this card to add 1 to your combat check or 2 if you played a weapon on the check. And a scale of resistance. Recharge this card to reduce all damage dealt to you by 1 or cold electricity damage dealt to you by 2. So I'd say one of those final 2 probably. Yeah, I think we'll go with the scale of sacred weaponry. And whether I give it to Imrijka or Seelah, I'm not sure yet. But they each get a skill feat too, so let's see what the skill feat would be. I mean, obviously you want to probably increase their main stat. So Enora would go up by +1 for her intelligence. Imrijka would go up by +1 for her strength. And Seelah would go up by +1, probably to her strength as well, although her charisma stats are highest stat. I'll have to think about that. Probably is going to be strength, though. Thanks for watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you get notifications of when I post new videos, but that's generally on Sunday morning. We will be back next week with Under the Broken City. Thanks again for watching, and I will talk to you next time.